Hi everyone, welcome. It's cool to be here, cool to see you. A happy moment. I got this line, everyone, there's nothing to worry about. Try to hold it up to view. So whatever comes, you look at it and see, is there really anything to worry about? So it's sort of fun. And this is a line from a very old book, 1200s, I think, called The Blue Cliff Record. And it's attached to the rhinoceros horn koan. There's nothing to worry about. Try to hold it up to view. Try to look at it. Kind of nice. And doesn't matter if we worry or not, I guess, but sometimes it's helpful to realize we don't have to. And if we're worrying, we're doing it for ourselves. I have a lot of narcissus here. A friend gave me some, and there's some Dutch variety called early cheer, spelled C-H-I-E-R, early cheer. And in fact, I do find them cheering. So, of course, it's a lot easier to get early cheer in California, where Jordan sent me a photo from Winnipeg where the snow is very thick on the ground. As Basho has this poem, he comes out of an inn and the snow in the horse's stirrups, like that. That's what it's like in Winnipeg, I think. So, I thought I'd read a couple of things about welcoming life, and then we'll meditate some, and welcoming life's always a good thing. What did I do in my Uzawadis? Here they are. And maybe I might also mention that I think from time to time on about this guy I studied with for a short time, and was very influential on American Zen, and he'd say, "What is it?" And he'd keep sort of badgering you until you said something like, "This, it's this," and you say, "Very good," and then you stop. Or you'd hold on a finger and say, "What is it?" Until you said, you held up a finger too and said, "This." He said, "Good," but I cut it off. So he was and then he'd go more, then it's just this, and then only just this. And I went into people who entered his lineage from time to time. They're always trying to work out exactly the right thing to say. Just this, only just this. But there's something rather wonderful about this, whatever's happening, this. And what it is, there's nothing to worry about. It's quiet, it's dark. I can smell the early cheer. It's nice to have the goofy things are like the simplicity of the name of a flower, early cheer. Very good. And I've just noticed the simplicity of things. This time of year, I guess maybe everybody knows, but I don't know why, but we have a lot of starlings because some person decided that they wanted every bird that was in Shakespeare in the Americas, and so they imported starlings. So much for good intentions. The starlings are everywhere. It's a kind of pest. But we have a lot of them we have enough trees around here that the starlings populate them and murmurate and make those big swooping things. And we notice that there's a very pretty local bird, a bit bigger than a starling, is sort of hanging out with them some, if you can't beat them, join them. And it's called a cedar waxwing, and they have beautiful little red tips on their wings that apparently come from waxy secretions that are presumably part of their allure to the ladies, but I'm not really sure. And I mean, I'm not sure I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure what part that plays in their courtship, but presumably most things are about sex, so I guess that is too. So we were going for a walk yesterday, and I noticed some starlings murmurating, and I noticed some cedar waxwings with them. So I just decided to imagine myself as a cedar waxwing. Mom, I'm going murmurating. But isn't that for starlings? You're a cedar waxwing. Well, we flock, but the starlings have offered us a ride along. And so I'm very excited. I'm going to be a mushroom and a dragon and a ribbon and a couple of eggs connected by a very thin line. All the shapes that the murmuration makes. Well, just don't do anything that would be a discredit to your family, dear. It's going to be okay, Mum. The starlings have given us easy instructions. Just pay attention to your 7 closest neighbors and do what they do. Will that work? I have no idea, but I'll have thousands of friends. A mushroom, a bunch of celery, a dragon, an egg. Murmurating. I'm going murmurating this afternoon. I remember when I was a kid, the rainy days like this were. In Australia, of course, that's in June or July. And they were always very lonely. There was no Christmas or anything at such time. And I would sometimes go out with a bicycle into the playground, but there wasn't anybody there ever. So there's a wonderful, in a way, wonderful forlorn feeling. As part of meditation, you can go into the forlornness. And kids learn about that stuff. It's into the difficult experience, which is sort of nice. And here's, I've been reading Patti Smith, whom, because, I was elsewhere at the time she became famous, like in temples and things, I didn't actually know much about, although occasionally when we've been in New York, sitting in a sushi bar at lunchtime and she'll walk in and looking just the way she did, dressed in kind of guy's clothes and striding along really with a couple of friends. And it's kind of perfectly Patti Smith. And anyway, she went to college, and she's a bright kid trying to give a very poor family, a family with a lot of hardship, who'd really sacrificed a lot to look after her and her brother, trying to give them pride in themselves and things like that. And then she gets pregnant at college. And so, and aware of society's severity and the multitude of challenges facing me, I made the first wrenching steps towards the most difficult decision of my young life. In 1966, there was still a terrible stigma attached to unwed mothers, and unbeknownst to my family, my every waking hour was spent in arranging for the well-being of the unborn. I prayed that I'd made the right decision, then called the family together to apprise them of my situation. I knew they'd pinned much of their faith in me to complete teacher's college, get a position, and help the family. I dreaded delivering a blow to their expectations, but also trusted their consideration and tolerance. It's impossible to convey all the conflicting emotions burdening those moments which collapsed into the arms of moments after. I stood before them, aware of their sacrifices, guidance, and the illnesses they pulled me through. I'm pregnant, I said. I've taken on the responsibility and found a good family for the child. Afterwards, if I'm unable to find a factory job, I will leave. I stood in the weighty atmosphere of the perplexed silence of my parents' disbelief. My brother crushed his cigarette. So that's what I have to say, I said, then instinctively turned to Todd, that's her brother, who had always looked up to me. I'm pregnant, I repeated. So what do you think of me now? But before I could say a word, Todd spoke up. He revealed to our collective shock that he had wrestled with a great personal dilemma. He had secretly dressed in women's clothing for years. and and all the missing pieces of our pathetic wardrobes were hidden in his closet beneath his baseball gear and comic books. He turned and looked at us all squarely. Our weeping mother, our philosophic but broken father, then fixed his gaze on me. I'm a half woman, half man. I'm a transvestite, he said. So what do you think of me now? It's this wonderful thing where, so he fell upon his sword for me, deflecting my dishonor. Perhaps I'd opened a door for him as well, but I didn't completely grasp the pain of his conflict, how much he had suffered, and how he would maneuver his future. There's not a shred of doubt that I had my knight, with a K, however, dressed, always there, clearing a path before me. So I just thought it was rather wonderful where she has this dread thing to tell her parents, and her brother jumps up, trumps it with something else. And it's very touching. And it says something about her parents, to her family, that these kids would do that. And so I just want to say that's the good thing about Patti Smith's. I don't think Patti Smith's the best writer in the world. She doesn't take enough time to be that. But she's a very good-hearted writer. And what else do I want to read here? Oh, and here's this great thing I found it's in Maloney's thing, The Art of Binding People, which is you probably run into it, but it's a memoir of an Italian psychiatrist who lives in Genoa and who's actually an interesting stylist. He just gives you these little snippets of things without explaining them. And you realize that trying to explain madness is just a hopeless cause. So he's got the best way of doing it. And here I am, running down the San Leandro Hill with clogs on my feet, trying to catch a patient who escaped from the ward. Escaping from psychiatry is not impossible. You just need to crouch down behind the door and wait for Dr. Maloney, that's him, to return from an evening consultation. When I open the door and enter, an idiotic smile plastered upon my face, you slip out behind me. If you're sneaky, I won't even notice. People escape from psychiatry and always will. It isn't a big deal. It's part of the game, the therapeutic relationship. The patients enjoy it, and deep down we're happy too, one fewer. But if the patient is in involuntary hospitalization, it's completely different. A serious ward would never let an involuntary hospitalization escape. So here I am running after you, Piero. 3 in the morning in the deserted center of Genoa, my white coat billowing behind me and clogs slapping clack, clack, a ghost. But isn't Genoa beautiful by night? You run in pajamas and bare feet. You have an advantage, you're lighter. But I don't want to remove my clogs. The street is filthy, with excrement and shards of glass. Luckily, your advantage is reduced by all the drugs I've given you, which I'm grateful. All the drugs I've given you, which I'm grateful for. You're getting tired. You're running upwind. I don't manage to reach you, and you don't manage to lose me. But time is on my side. I'm a cyclist. I'm used to resistance. Sooner or later, I'll catch you. What austere beauty in the buildings, the shimmering lights, the peace, the silence. Genoa reveals itself, opens its arms. If only I could stop. But no, we run at breakneck speed. Clack, clack, clack. We pass the shutters of the best gelateria in the city and find each other again in Piazza de Ferrari. Not a soul to be seen. It's all ours. You do a lap of the fountain, me behind. It's sort of an Italian movie, really, isn't it? It's like, You do a lap of the fountain, me behind. A group of drunks appears from the city centre. Seeing us, they stop singing. There's a ghost chasing a sleepwalker. I catch a glimpse of you launching yourself down Via San Matteo, dropping precipitously down to the sea. Me behind. Clack, clack. Piazza de Ferrari echoes at night. A policeman on instinct runs after us. He's running in boots. How beautiful the strip of stars above the alleys. Piazza Caricimento, you're done. If I don't catch you, you're headed for the sea. You stop, wheezing, leaning against the railing. I reach you and stand beside you, also wheezing. For a moment, HUS thinks only of breathing. Then I suggest sighing. We could run away to Corsica. What do you think? That's when the policeman arrives. That's Milone's, you know. Try to see the beauty in life. Try to see things as they are. Try not to suffer. So, Marie, how do you have anything you would like to say? There's no pressure, but it always seems a privilege to have you on.
Hi, hi, John. Hi,
Hi.
everybody. Hi, Allison. Well, it's just that it's so good to see everybody and to sit with you all. I've been sick for the last couple of days, really overcome by a fever, and it stopped me, and it was so good to be stopped. I mean, for the last couple of days, I really didn't think there was anything I had to do because I was too ill to do it. And I don't know about the rest of you all, but I always feel like there's 100 things I have to do, and I'm late for all of them, and I need to go, 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 and do this. I have a list every day, a list. And the list just, there was no list for the last couple of days. And it felt, it to just today, I'm realizing, it sounds like a cliche, but really how corny. It sounds corny, like a cliche, but also true that it's like the illness gave me something I needed, which was to slow down, to stop, to not worry about anything, and to just sleep and be. I couldn't read, I couldn't watch a film, I couldn't do anything. And not to do was pretty great for a couple of days. So um, I'm very happy to be sitting with you all, not doing for a little bit longer before I go rev up again. I'm sure I will. Yeah, this, just this.
Thanks, Marie. It's wonderful to have you.
Um,
Todd, do you have anything you want to say?
Sure, thank you. I really loved the poem about starlings and cedar waxwings. That was so great. I identify with the little cedar waxwing, you know, mom, because it's usually my wife. I have to tell my wife I have a new great idea that I wanna do. So recently, it's I've been I work on computers and I write software and I create, but a lot of it is just on the screen. And I've been really feeling like I want to make something with my hands, do something in the real world, so to speak. And so I saw some YouTube video with somebody making these really beautiful little boxes with lids. And I love boxes with lids because of the taking part in the gathering translation that we have here. So I said, I know, I'm gonna start making things. I'm gonna do some woodwork. Now, I don't really have any experience doing woodwork. I don't really have a lot of tools, but that was these were all details. So I talked to my wife, like, Mom, I want to be like a woodworker, and I convinced her that she should get me some tools for Christmas, which I got yesterday, and it was great. So I went around setting up the garage, moving things around, and I just was like overcome with this feeling of like I can do anything. I just felt like that little cedar waxwing, really cool. Today, however, I woke up really tired and exhausted, and so I'm not feeling like I can take on the world in quite the same way, like that little cedar waxwing. But it was just, I love that feeling of just having something new to try to do, and to like, to sort of not be bothered by the other voices in the mind of well, you're not very handy, you know, you've never made a box before, kind of thing. Um, all those little things, or it's not going to be very good if you do, kind of stuff. And I recently started imagining those little thoughts, like sort of little self-propagating waves in the brain that they're there and they can be triggered by whatever they're triggered by, and they show up and they have an impact, or they make themselves known. Um, and but for whatever reason lately, it's also been fairly clear that they don't have a lot to do with me, and they can just run their course on their own, and I don't have to uh, I don't have to give them a lot of weight. Um, I don't have to give them a lot of power to judge or anything like that, and they're just there. And kind of like those murmurations the starlings do. They appear, they arise, they do whatever amazing things they do. It's just the universe doing what the universe does, and I still get to have my life, which is pretty great. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Allison, you want to say anything?
I really like the idea of thoughts in the mind as murmurations. That's like a great, marvelous image. Um, I was struck by the Italian psychiatrist who, when he's chasing after Piero through the streets of Genoa at 3 a.m., and then he sees the strip of stars between the buildings, and he sees um, the glass, broken glass on the ground, and the group of drunks coming out singing, and each thing is given without mm, comment without any objection, I guess, that this shouldn't be here or this shouldn't be happening. He gives each thing its place in the universe, and as you're reading it, I could feel the luminous wholeness of the entire experience of him chasing after Piero. And I was thinking that, during Christmas and this period, a lot of people have um, family visiting, or you go and visit family, and in a way, it's you're stuck inside their asylum, whatever it is. I remember going to my former in-laws and feeling like I wanted to escape, like Piero, and but we have this Christmas, we have John's daughter staying with us, visiting from Edinburgh, and she's brought her partner, who we had never met before. And for any of you who have not met John's daughter, she's like a hurricane. She's just like this wild, tremendous force, and she's like 8 people shoved into one body. And the next thing you know, she's off running rat lines on a sailing ship in the middle of the North Sea, and then you hear from her again a few days later, and she's in Singapore giving a presentation to someone, and she's just a tremendous force of nature. So we have a kind of small house, and it's very orderly because of me. I like order and beauty and sort of the calm, the quiet streets of Genoa before anyone's racing around them. So I have a bit of trepidation before Servina shows up. And the last time she was here, she got it into her head that we have this Meyer lemon tree with like thousands of lemons on it at this time of year. It's incredibly beautiful. And so she takes it up in her mind that she's going to make, we go to bed, we wake up and she's in the middle of the night, she's woken up, or she hasn't even gone to sleep, and she's jet lagged and she wants something to do. So she decided to make lemon curd at like 2 a.m. And you get up in the morning and there's like 50 jars of lemon curd and sugar all over the floor. There's just huge pots and pans and everything scattered everywhere. And she's just thrilled that she's done this marvelous thing for us. We've got all these jars of lemon curd now. So I was a bit worried when she was going to show up. And her partner is this very refined, studied philosophy and psychology, and has a very calming effect on Serafina. And so last night, Miss Serafina said she was going to make us dinner, and of course, being Serafina, it's 2 hours late. And John's sort of falling asleep at the dinner table, and it's this fabulous meal because she's an amazing cook, as one would expect. And then afterwards, John, practically in the middle of the meal, John says, I need to go to bed. So he disappears. And then we turn towards cleaning up, and Serafina's partner just sort of quietly gazes around the room, very much like the Italian psychiatrist in the chase scene, with this sort of objective, warm interest in his situation. And Serafina's partner looks around in that same way, and she just says to Serafina, the kitchen is really an astonishing mess you've made, without any sort of condemnation at all, but it's just like a sense of wonder and awe. And we all look at each other and laugh, and then we get to work cleaning up, and it was just really just a marvelous, I guess, to say that the practice, that's one of the fruits of the practice, is a widening capacity to take in the world and to see the beauty and be able to respond to whatever trouble or strips of stars that you encounter.
Thank you. The name of the Italian book is called The Art of Binding People. It's an unusual name, so Milone is his name. You'll find it that way, The Art of Binding People. I thought it's incredibly well written in this way that doesn't explain things, which is part of its virtue. Michelle Riddle, you got anything you want to say?
No, just awesome stories of leaning in today. Every one of these stories is like you have the idea that things are going along and there's a certain way they're supposed to go, and something disrupts whatever you're expecting. And there's this great move, instead of pulling it back to where it's supposed to be. It's like, what happens if I lean into this? Everything from Marie being sick to Serafina's partner to all the wonderful stories that you told, Patty. Oh, my sister's pregnant. I'll move into that. Or in the Art of Binding People. It's that Zen improv place of what's happening? What's happening? How do I lean into this? So I've loved it. Thank you.
John Joseph, you want no pressure. I'm saying it's almost Christmas. We don't have to do anything.
Well, it's been a watery morning for me. I'm looking out the window and the wind is blowing hard in the trees, and it's raining, and it's the first great rain of the season. And for me, I'm always quite attuned to the rain and to the fire and the dryness, and so that's a signal where everything is okay. But that wateriness, I had a dream about my father last night, which is pretty much only I don't know, I've maybe dreamed about him a couple times in 15 or 16 years since he passed away. And he was he was in a room, and he had this big box of flies, like fly fishing flies. I've fly fished my whole life, and he presented me with this box of flies, and this beautiful box of had to been like 24 or 36 flies, and he didn't look up at me, but I said thank you. And it was really kind of very sweet, because we had a very contentious relationship, and it wasn't, this is kind of an unusual gesture for him. And then later, early this morning, I was fly fishing, and maybe I don't know if I was using one of those flies or not. I was casting and back casting and forward casting and back casting, and then the fly hit the water, and then it sank, and I could feel a little tug of a fish, in this big river where I was kind of up in my waist in water, just a little tug of a fish. Um, and uh, and then that dream ended, and it was all catch and release, fly fishing. And I woke up and I grabbed my phone, and Facebook, if I don't look at Facebook, it finds me, and sends me an email. You got to look at this. And so I opened it up, and it was a story of a fly fisherman in the North Sacramento River catching all these big rainbows and releasing them. So it's been a watery theme for me, and I've loved the stories too. Thank you.
Thank you, O.